Hello everybody, this is Lara from Pure Elliott Wave with your Monday to Friday update for Bitcoin and XRP. Technical analysis of Bitcoin only, but I'm going to look at the weekly chart today. Full Elliott Wave count for XRP today. Before I get into it, a very quick reminder, there's only, at the time of recording, just under 4 hours left to get my online course, Learn Pure Elliott Wave, with $100 off. And at checkout, you'll have an opportunity, if you want to also add in my other two courses, Technical Analysis and the Big Concepts, Buy Low, Sell High. That's what that one's about. So you can get the ultimate learning package and make summer learning summer for you. Click on the link below. Technicals on the weekly for Bitcoin. There's some bearish candlestick patterns here at the high. There's an evening doji star, these three candlesticks. There's a dark cloud cover. It was this candlestick, and now there's a bearish engulfing pattern on this candlestick. There's also a couple of bullish candlesticks around about these very short-term lows. So there's now three bearish reversal patterns at highs, but we need to put that in context before we decide, is that indicating the start of a huge bear market, or is it indicating consolidation or a pullback within the ongoing bull market? Because from this low back in November 2022, it's extremely obvious that there is a series of higher highs and there is a series of higher lows. That is the basic definition of an upward trend. In order for that basic pattern to be broken, here is the highest high, here is the last highest low previous to the highest high. This low needs to be taken out for that pattern to be broken and for us to now see a lower low. So if we see a new low below 38,512.34, then you can have confidence that yes, there may be a bear market underway, and you could expect it to last maybe up to a year, maybe a little bit longer. That's usually how long Bitcoin's bear markets last, the longest ones anyway. While that hasn't happened, you have to acknowledge that this is sideways movement. Since price entered this consolidation in March this year, it's just been going sideways with resistance about 73,100 and final support about 55,000, a little bit above that. After that low in November 2022, at the weekly time frame, we see this parabolic growth in volume. This is really important. This is what you see in a bull market for Bitcoin. You do not see this in a bear market rally, and price closed to new all-time highs at daily, weekly and monthly time frames in March this year. That's a technical upward breakout. Those are all very bullish signals. Now price is moving sideways, volume is declining. There is no strength in volume within this sideways movement. It's not going lower with volume increasing. It doesn't look like a bear market. It looks like a consolidation. It's sideways movement. The very short term, there's a very weak bearish signal from on-balance volume at the weekly time frame. This signal is very weak though, because this line that's been breached has 3, maybe 4 tests. That's okay, but it's got such a strong slope that really makes this signal very weak. ADX reached very extreme. That's above both 45 and both DX lines for the previous bullish run. It's now declining, so this consolidation is relieving those short-term very extreme conditions and setting the market up for the next bullish run. ADX is still not below 45. It would actually be quite nice to see if the consolidation continued a little longer, long enough to bring ADX down to below 45 and out of very extreme territory. This consolidation has pulled RSI down from deeply overbought. It was above 85, it's now below 70, it's back in neutral territory, leaving room for the next bullish run to continue. So this consolidation is a good, healthy thing to see within the larger bullish market. The consolidation has also brought money flow down from overbought nicely in neutral territory. Also, you can note that money flow reached oversold on the week beginning 17th of September 2023. That doesn't happen often, and it tends to be associated with long-term sustained lows. So that's another little indication that Bitcoin is probably going to continue on higher in a bullish run. ATR was strongly increasing up to the last high and a little bit beyond. It is a lagging indicator here based on a 14-week average. It's now starting to decline. It's normal to see ATR as a measure of volatility increase along with volume and price in a bullish run for this market. Very normal to see both volume and ATR decline in a consolidation. It's normal to see ATR increase in a bear market as well. The fact that ATR is not increasing as price moves sideways, the fact that it is declining, points to the probability of this being a consolidation within a bull market and not the early phase of a big bear market for Bitcoin. Technicals on the daily, I'm identifying this consolidation as a huge rectangle pattern. When these come after the context of upward movement, 2/3 of them will break out up, 1/3 of them will break out down. I will be looking most likely for a break above resistance. I need to see a close above 73,100, and then I want to see 2 or 3 days away to have really good confidence in an upward breakout. The upward breakout should have push from volume for confidence. While price is within the rectangle, let's expect price to continue to swing from resistance to support to resistance to support. Checked resistance 2 times here, now continuing lower. Let's expect overall a downward swing to continue to find support about 60,700 or 58,200. For the very short term, volume is pushing price lower, but overall as price continues sideways in that rectangle, volume is declining. This is absolutely normal to be expected behavior during a consolidation. If this was the start of a bear market, you'd be expecting to see volume increasing with downward movement. We are not seeing that. However, cause for concern is this very strong bearish signal from on-balance volume as it broke strongly below support. Now, this might only indicate prices to continue lower to support at 60,700 or maybe even the lower edge of that support zone at 58,200. Or it could also indicate an upcoming downward breakout from the rectangle. 2/3 of rectangles after upward movement will break out up, but 1/3 will break out down. We could be about to see a downward breakout from the rectangle. If that happens with price closing below support, I'll then calculate a short-term target for a bit more downward movement to end for you. ADX is increasing. The negative DX line is above the positive, ADX is above 15. ADX tells us for the short term at this time frame there is a downward trend. It has previously indicated short-term downward trends within the rectangle, a downward swing here, an upward swing here, and again now indicating a downward swing. Let's expect price to continue lower towards support as most likely. RSI is not yet oversold, but it's getting kind of close. If it reaches down to oversold, then I would expect, even if we have a downward breakout from the rectangle, I would expect downward movement to end there, because RSI tends to not reach oversold very often in Bitcoin's price history on the daily. When it does, it tends to be associated with lows that have been sustained to this date. This point where RSI reached oversold was March 2023. That low has been sustained to this date. Again, reaching oversold again in August 2023, those lows, about 26,000, those lows also have been sustained to this date. Reaching oversold in November 2022, about 15,000, those lows also have been sustained to this date. Doesn't always work this way. Nothing in technical analysis is 100%. Reaching oversold in May 2022, it reached more deeply oversold as price continued lower to June 2022. Closing prices here, 19,017. Closing prices here, 28,900 and change. So it doesn't always work, but most commonly, when RSI reaches oversold on the daily, those lows are most commonly sustained for the long term, not always. Money flow is neutral. There's a ways to go before RSI and money flow reach oversold. ATR continues to decline as price moves sideways and continues to slightly decline as price moves lower within this downward swing. If this was the start of a bear market, you really should by now be starting to see quite an increase in range as a measure of volatility. When ATR is declining, that's usually an indication that it's a consolidation or a counter trend movement, not a strong bullish or bearish run. So this is another indication that fits what we see at the weekly time frame. This sideways movement from Bitcoin looks very likely, not certain, but very likely to be a consolidation within a larger bullish trend. Let's have a quick look at the entire price history. Elliott Wave count. I'm going to do a full Elliott Wave count for you for XRP today because I've only got the 2 markets to cover, so hey, why not? This is my main Elliott Wave count for XRP. There's a lot of concern about this. I do have an alternate if you're not as bullish as me on this. I think this is the best fit, but the alternate wave count has a pretty good fit as well, and that's entirely possible. From this low to this high, we see a very nice 5-wave impulse. 1, 2, 3, triangle for 4, 5. I'm noting the lengths of the third wave to the first wave, and I'm using this ratio 14.72 to calculate targets for this third wave and this third wave. This is a 5 up, this is a 3 back. This downward movement here fits best as a counter trend movement. It lasted 2 years. It was a bear market following a bull market lasting 3 years. Cycle 2 is a 96% correction of cycle 1. That's really normal for a crypto to have extremely deep second waves. From this low to this high, I see this upward movement as a leading diagonal. This is a first wave, a motive structure. Here is a zigzag, a second wave correction. And now we expect that primary 3 within cycle 3 may be in its relatively early stages. So this wave count has 1, 2, 3 overlapping first and second waves. When a third wave extends, it will very often start out with overlapping first and second waves. Look at the start of primary 3. We've got primary 1 and 2, now we've got a couple of first and second waves in here. So it's absolutely normal to see that sideways movement before a third wave takes off. Just because this has been going sideways does not mean this can't be the right wave count. It's absolutely valid. I've got targets at 28.84 and 40.67 using that ratio 14.72, which we see here within cycle wave 1. Intermediate 2 may not move beyond the start of 1 below 0.2794. This wave count would be invalidated with a new low by any amount at any time frame below that price point. Alternatively, this could be a big sideways triangle, so the monthly alternate sees a zigzag, not an impulse completing higher. A, triangle for B, and now C. If C reaches equality in length with A, which is the most common relationship between the two, then the target is a mere 3.1861, not nearly as bullish as the other two. This sideways movement fits quite nicely as a triangle. Single zigzag for A, double zigzag for B, single for C, D, and E. It meets all of the rules for a regular contracting triangle, and that's the most common type of triangle, and B waves have the greatest variety in structure and behavior and can fairly commonly subdivide as triangles. So this wave count has a decent probability. It's also bullish. Now I've tried to find a bearish Elliott wave count for XRP. Doesn't mean there isn't one, but I can't see one that meets Elliott Wave rules and has a good look. If you can find one for me and you want me to take a look, so find me on Twitter, drop me a link or give me the chart on Twitter where we can share links and charts, because you can't do that in YouTube comments, and I'll definitely take a look at it. I'm really interested to see, is there something I've missed? Have I just not been able to visualize a bearish wave count? Absolutely possible. I've made mistakes before. I'll certainly make mistakes again. The rule here I'm applying for the invalidation point is the rule for wave E of a contracting triangle may not move beyond the end of C below 0.2794. So the invalidation point's the same, the expected direction is the same, it's just how high it's expected to go is wildly different for these wave counts. Following on for the main wave count, if this is a primary degree third wave, then intermediate 1 a leading expanding diagonal, intermediate 2 most likely complete here as a double zigzag, which means intermediate 3 within primary 3 within cycle 3 may be in its very early stages. This Elliott wave count expects we really should be seeing a strong upward breakout in the next few months. It should now come relatively soon for XRP. Within intermediate 3, no second wave correction may move beyond its start below 0.4309. Alternatively, at the weekly time frame, intermediate 2 is a double zigzag complete here, but what if intermediate 2 is not complete? How could it continue lower? It could be a triple zigzag. The reason why this is an alternate with a relatively low probability is double zigzags are fairly common corrective structures, particularly in a second wave position, but triple zigzags are reasonably uncommon. They're not rare like running flats, but they're fairly uncommon. The lower probability of that structure means this Elliott wave count has a lower probability. It is possible. Lower probability outcomes sometimes will occur, and the nature of probability means that when they do occur, they'll never be what you expected as most likely. This is an exercise in probability, not certainty, as is all technical analysis and fundamental analysis as well. There is nothing in market analysis that is ever going to give you 100% certainty. You have to acknowledge it's an exercise in probability and manage your risk accordingly. And herein ends my lecture today. Sorry guys. For this wave count, you would expect minor Z to move reasonably beyond the end of minor Y, because that's the purpose of a multiple zigzag. Each subsequent zigzag should deepen the correction so that the whole structure has a strong counter trend slope. For this wave count, the larger trend should be up, so intermediate 2 should be a counter trend movement. Z needs to move reasonably below 0.4309. Intermediate 2 may not move beyond the start of 1 below 0.2794. It may find support at the lower edge of this channel. I could potentially pull this arrow down and see intermediate 2 ending down here. This daily chart follows from the main weekly Elliott Wave count. If intermediate 2 is complete, there is a double zigzag. Intermediate 3 should have begun. I will label minor wave 1 with an intermediate 3 incomplete, with an impulse for minute 1, a zigzag for minute 2, subdividing as a zigzag, A, triangle for B, C moved beyond the end of A, minute 2 did not move beyond the start of minute wave 1. It could be complete there. Minute wave 3 may have begun with minuet 1, 2. Now we'll add subminuet 1, 2. I'm seeing subminuet 2 is an expanded flat. Let me get some labels in there for you. No, that goes up here. And this goes down there. Expanded flats, pretty common structures, and this has a fairly decent fit. So we could be seeing again a couple of overlapping first and second waves, pretty common when a third wave extends. This wave count now expects a reasonable increase in upward movement. We should be seeing a break above 55 cents if this wave count is correct in the next couple of weeks or so. Technicals on the daily for XRP, I noted this recent ascending triangle. I noted that ascending triangles most commonly will break out upward, but they can also break out downward. They can be continuation or reversal patterns. Unlike Elliott Wave triangles, important to note, Elliott Wave triangles are always continuation patterns. The angle of entry is the same as the angle of exit for an Elliott Wave triangle. This is not that though, this is an ascending triangle. We did get a downward breakout on the 7th of June with push from volume, so we can have really good confidence in that downward breakout. I calculated the target from the triangle at 0.4227, but I did say that might be too low and price needed to strongly break below support at 0.46 in order for us to have confidence in that target. It hasn't managed to do that. A couple of tests of support, a back test of resistance at the lower edge of the ascending triangle, now just moving sideways. Price is consolidating with resistance at 54.55 cents, which is quite strong, and support about 46 cents, which also is quite strong. Because there was a false breakout above 55 cents back here on the 22nd of April, if price does close again above 55 cents, I'm going to apply a 2 to 3 day away rule. I want to see a follow through with 2 or 3 days of upward movement following an upward breakout before I really have confidence that that area has been broken. Not so below support though. Strongest recent session is a downward session. We may be expecting a little bit more downward movement for the short term for XRP. On balance volume has a new range, no new signal. ADX is declining. There's no clear trend for the short term. I want to note that April the 13th for RSI reached oversold. That strongly suggests that that low may remain intact and supports the Elliott Wave analysis. Both wave counts doesn't tell us which one is more likely. It just tells us that low is most likely to remain sustained, and both of those wave counts expect that. This model of stochastics plus support and resistance isn't really working very well for XRP at the moment, so I'm just going to go with let's expect it's probably going to continue sideways within that narrow area of consolidation, swinging from resistance to support between 54.55 cents and support about 46 cents. We need to wait for a breakout of this little zone from XRP before we can really have any confidence with what it's about to do next, because the picture is rather mixed. That's it from me today with your update. I hope you're all looking forward to a lovely weekend.